In Duluth, Minnesota, on the shores of Lake Superior, was the family home of Chester and Clara Congdon, also known as the Glensheen Mansion. Built in 1908, this estate boasts of wealth and opulence in its 27,000 square foot blueprint. Behind these doors is a story of greed, deceit, and murder. Chester and Clara Congdon had 6 children between them. Chester earned his fortune in iron mining. The Northlands Iron Range was untouched until Chester Congdon created an alliance with Andrew Carnegie to mine this land. This became known as the Mesabi minefields. Chester would die just 8 years after the completion of the Glensheen Mansion. Clara Congdon, Chester's wife, died in 1950, leaving the estate to Elizabeth Congdon. She inherited the entire fortune of Glensheen. In 1932, Elizabeth adopted daughter Jacqueline Barnes and renamed her Marjorie Mannering Congdon. Later, in 1935, she adopted a second daughter, whom she named Jennifer Susan Congdon. It was said that Jacqueline Barnes, now known as Marjorie Mannering Congdon, was diagnosed as a sociopath at an early age. She was said to be the black sheep of the family. She married multiple times. She had 7 children over the course of her lifetime, was constantly borrowing money, and her second husband, Roger Caldwell, and her were always broke, angling for money, always had some new scheme. Now, Elizabeth was the sole heir of the Congdon estate. As Elizabeth's heir, Marjorie was to receive $8 million at the time of her mother's death, and 3 days before Elizabeth's death, Marjorie authorized a document saying that her husband, Roger, would receive $2.5 million upon the death of her mother. On June 27, 1977, both Elizabeth and her night nurse, Velma Patila, were found dead in the home at 3 a.m. Now, when I toured the house, I was looking at the architecture, I was looking at the shape of the outside of the building and the shape of the inside of the building, and they did not match up. Friends, there could be a secret passage in that house. In fact, we saw evidence in the infirmary where a bookshelf pulls out and there's a recess in the wall. Also, we noticed in Edward's room that there was some space in the woodwork that was not accounted for on the outside of the wall as well. So there could be like a secret passage. Anyway, now this is where this kind of gets like Clue, because Elizabeth was smothered with a satin pillow from her bed, and Velma was brutally beaten with a candlestick in the grand stairway, and that's where she met her demise. Now, it's said that Elizabeth could have died first, and then Velma was snuck up, from behind on the staircase, and that's where she met her demise. Or it could be that Velma went to investigate a sound, and she was overcome first, and then Elizabeth. So we don't really know that detail. Now, by this time, Elizabeth had moved into her sister Helen's room, which is pictured here. It's noted for its view of Lake Superior, the larger size of the room, as well as the gray tile around the fireplace with the rose inlay, which were the colors of her school where she was attending at the time that the house was built. Based on evidence found in their possession, both Roger and Marjorie were charged with murder. Roger's trial took place first, and he was convicted in 1978 with 2 consecutive life sentences. However, in 1983, his conviction would be overturned and he would be acquitted based on the changing of some stories of witnesses who said that, first of all, they didn't see Roger that day, and then after, during Marjorie's trial, they said, oh yeah, we really did see him. So Roger ended up in 1988 on May 18th committing suicide, and he sustained all the way until the end of his life that he did not commit the murders. Marjorie was not convicted at all. It was said that she was seen knitting at the defense table, and she even baked and brought in a birthday cake for one of the lawyers. So she had that impression given to the jurors that she was just some little old lady who couldn't possibly commit murder. Also in 1983, 5 of the 7 children of Marjorie challenged Marjorie's inheritance based on the state law that prohibited anyone from inheriting money from the deceased if shown to be involved in that person's murder. Now, the 5 children who were petitioning against their mother were Andy, Peter, Suzanne, Heather, and Rebecca. Stephen and Rick, however, said, oh, nay, Mom is innocent. So there was that division. However, Marjorie ended up receiving $1.5 million from the trust, and she would also receive interest from 1/3 of her children's share of that trust, and that ended up to be about $4.5 million. The remainder of the money from the inheritance was divided between Marjorie's 7 children. Each of Marjorie's children was awarded $2 million. It was said that Marjorie had Mr. Seamus's body cremated before a cause of death could be determined, and she was charged with fraud and forgery. She pled guilty to that in 2009 and was given 3 years of intensive probation. Marjorie petitioned the court to end her probation in order for her to live in an assisted living facility. However, a judge denied her request. In 2016, in the month of July, she bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Tucson, Arizona. And to date, I have not learned of her death. She would be 89 years old. And that, my friends, is the story of Marjorie Congdon Leroy Caldwell Hagen. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you've made it to this point, thank you so much. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications for future YouTube videos. And be sure to stay tuned to find out the scandals of other states that I visited. You guys have a good day and be blessed. Remember, you are here on the planet because you have a destiny to fulfill.